All right, welcome. Welcome to our foundations and tier one call. We're so happy to have you on. And you'll see we have Connie here right now. She's in the middle of my screen. So it's like the Brady Bunch. She's right in the middle. But I'm so glad she's here with us today. And it's so great to have you. So what we're going to do is I mentioned this before, but we're just going to kind of flip our call. So we're going to do our wins and accountability afterwards. And Connie's going to hop on and she's going to be on and she's teaching us all about writing effective and engaging bios, because as you are starting to work on your social media, and some of you have a website and mainly your landing pages, Connie knows how to do this. And so she's so great at this. So we're going to turn it over to her. And as you have questions, she'll be able to answer some of those. So great. Over to you.
Thanks, sweetie. Oh, it's so fun to see all your faces. Oh, I was texting you guys saying, I'm loving you, and I just want to see how you're doing. So this makes me so happy. And Shauna, I'm so jealous. I am pure winter Scottish white. So I have to try to get some color. You look amazing.
I know. I went to Pebble Beach first in California and it snowed on me. It was ice. It was like sleet hit us in the face. So it was terrible. Oh. And then I went to Mexico, so that made up for it.
Oh, it's all better now. It's good.
So much better
I find
now.
that happens too. If I go to Mexico, everything's better. Oh my gosh. I can't believe it. It is the weirdest weather. I can't even tell you. I'm up in Woodland Hills and we have mountains of snow, like 6 feet. I come out my driveway and it's a wall of snow. I can't see in either direction. I have to pull out super slow so I can see if there's any, but we just go through this tunnel of snow. It's crazy. We had a neighbor up the street just for one of those kvetching, kind of, and one of our neighbors, their garage crashed, it collapsed. Another neighbor, their shed collapsed. It's that much snow. Like when we're saying in Woodland Hills, we got snow, we got snow. All right, let's go to more exciting, wonderful things, which is your bio. So let me just get the lay of the land. Raise your hand if you feel like you have a bio that you absolutely love and adore. Raise your hand if you have one. Okay, that tells me where we're starting. All right, let's go to the other end of the spectrum. How many of you feel like you have some nuts and bolts, but you haven't really done a lot with it, but you have some nuts and bolts of a bio? Some pieces? Okay, we are kind of starting from the scratchy then, okay, what do we need in a bio? So anyone know or have an idea of what the purpose of a bio is?
I would think it helps give you some credibility to what you're sharing.
Excuse me, credibility. Excuse me, anything else?
Helps people relate to you.
I went to speak and I swallowed my spit. Oh my gosh, I'm a speaker. Okay, credibility, relatability. Anything else?
I want to say trust. And I know you said relatable, but trust and get to know you, who you are.
Trust, absolutely. And give them a snapshot of who you are, right? Because it's just a really quick thing. Where are you going to use this bio most likely? What ways would you use a bio?
If you're at like a speaking thing and they want to give you a bio on who is like each of the speakers are, at the back of your book, if you write a book.
I have a about Kim on my website. So is that a bio or? Because there's like one sheet that you'd send, but that's different, right?
There's a variety of lengths of a bio, but for all intents and purposes, you can have like a vitae and you can have all of these different things, but we're going to call it a bio just so we're on the same page. Okay. But the whole point of a bio is it's your calling card. It's your business card. It's the way that you introduce yourself to a group of people, usually people who don't know anything about you. So either it's a speaking engagement or you're on your website, or it's on, like you said, the back of your book. So think about the ways you're going to use this bio, because that will help you determine the feel and tone you want of this bio. And that's why it's good to have a couple of different versions. So just so you know, you have a short bio, because a lot of times in a printed program, you don't have a lot of room. So you got your short bio and you want to start that short bio with the absolute core that will share your credibility, relatability, trust, and give them that snapshot of who you are, what you do, and who it's for. That basically your one big message, your Foundation 5 kind of in that one sentence, that first few sentences. So the short bio is really important for you to just use that as your core. Then you can build onto a medium or long bio. And that's as medium as long as you want. A good medium bio is maybe 2 to 3 short paragraphs. You do not want to overwhelm them. The idea with the bio is you are teasing them with your awesomeness, that they are going to be salivating to hear what you have to say or what you're offering as soon as they're done reading that bio. And the long bio is you're just trying to impress the heck out of them, and they're not going to mostly read it. It's really, no one's going to really actually check it out, but they're going to see all of these amazing things that you do, and they'll be like, wow, I don't even have to read all through this because I can see already she's amazing. So your short and medium bios are going to be the most used. And I like to use a little combination that's just maybe a little bit elongated short bio. So it's about a good paragraph long. And that's usually what people would read. So when I get people who are going to come on my podcast and we want to interview them, the research that they'll do for me is they'll do a whole page of bio stuff, but then we always utilize this short bio. And then I go through the long one and I cull out the things that I think that people are going to want to know or will establish that credibility. So I love that people said credibility and relatability. Those are so vital. So remember, when you're sitting and listening to a speaker, can anyone remember something you've heard in a bio? Anyone remember anything that stands out to you? Okay, probably
in
not.
General? Yeah.
Like if you're like, oh my gosh, they were reading this bio and this guy had the best blah, 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 probably not, right? So you want to try to find something that is memorable. So start with the credible, and we're going to do a little list. We're going to do a little work. We're going to work through all of these things. So first thing, what are the most credible pieces that you offer? That means certifications, degrees, letters after your name, significant experiences or awards, things that are like, I'm an award-winning, best-selling author, blah, blah, blah. You want to start with that. This is not a time to be shy. You are going to barf this all out and get it down on paper, breathe into a bag, feel good about sharing these amazing things about yourself, and then you're going to go back and cull it out. So don't stress it. You're just brainstorming on your paper right now. So I'm going to give you 1 minute. Write down the most credible pieces that you have. Degrees, awards, distinguishments, anything that is something, certifications, anything that you have. There's a gal in the DTLC that I did not know for months that she was a certified coach, international ICF. I was like, why are you not leading with that? This was an important piece of information.
So Connie, I have a question for you. So
Yeah.
I don't have a coaching certification.
That's fine.
So what do I mean, I have lots of experience, but I don't have anything, I don't have any letters after my name. I am a postpartum and birth doula, but I'm not certified in it.
Just put that. You
And
don't
I'm
put
a
anything that is not
facilitator
true.
at a nonprofit. So
That's totally fine. If
To me,
you've
that
done it,
shows.
you've served in
Yeah,
that capacity, then put it down. But you don't ever lie on, and I know you wouldn't, but that's that. I don't even want to say his name because the poor guy that he was in the church and he was a speaker and he had put some information and kind of aggrandized it a little bit, and they nailed him. They had an interview when he was 90 something, I think it was. And they said, did you lie? And he could hardly speak. And he was like, yes. A whole lifetime of speaking and serving in the church ruined from one piece of information that he had just kind of embellished. But if you have served in that capacity and you've done it, then say it. But don't say anything more than that. So if you're not certified, don't say that, but obviously say, I am up, because that's what you do. So absolutely do that. I love that. Thank you. Page 67 on the guidebook. It also shows about the bios.
Hey,
So,
I have a bunch of certifications that aren't relative to my audience avatar right now. Don't put those, right?
no, but write them down right now. Like just put
Oh, okay.
all of those certifications that I don't think are relative, because it may come about that one of the audiences you go speak to, that actually would be a helpful thing. So just put everything down on the paper. Do not stress about not having letters after your name. Oprah has no letters after her name. And you see all that happened to her. You don't need letters, but you need expertise. So you've got to figure out a way to be able to show the credibility. If you don't have letters, awards, and distinguishments, then it's going to be significant experiences. I ran the Boston Marathon. I survived a car fire, right? Whatever it might be, it's going to be a distinguishing event or significant story or experience that you're going to emphasize. So if we go to credibility, also think media. Have you been interviewed on podcasts? Have you done a podcast? Have you been on a TV show? Have you been on a radio show? Have you been a guest at something? Write those things down. So I'm going to give you a minute to keep writing down, keep thinking of ideas. Were you invited to speak somewhere? Girls camp. Doesn't matter. It's a young women's organization. And like Kim brought up, barf it out now and then try to niche it down to the thing that you are doing and offering. So Tanya could think back, well, was I ever invited to speak about organizing for Relief Society, right? Or was I ever invited to speak about or be on or create something for organizing or 5-minute habits or anything like that? Because you do want it to niche down and be pertinent to what you're doing. But the most important thing is that you show credibility. So even if my Studio 5, I'm not talking about speaking or writing. If I was talking about years ago, I was talking about balancing and balance redefined and stuff like that. It doesn't matter. It just shows initially what it shows is that I have some kind of significant experience, especially if I don't have any letters after my name. Now I have a degree, but it doesn't have anything to do with what I'm doing, but I do still put that on my bio.
So a question then, like I'm serving on the ANWA Writers Conference Committee. That's something you would put down, right?
You're an author and you're showing that I actually serve on this committee and serves as a blank on the ANWA writing or whatever committee. Absolutely. That establishes you're not just some pie in the sky, like one-time author thing. You actually serve in a leadership position. That's why on my bio, I put NSA. Now I can put I'm vice president for, well, actually in June, so I'm not on now, but vice president of NSA chapter. So again, for speaking, right? National Speaking Association, vice president of that chapter, that just shows credibility of, oh, she maybe know what she's talking about. This is why, I don't know if Lemira's brought it up to you yet. We've talked about it in DTLC just a bit, and we talked about it at the retreat just slightly, but jump into an organization right at the start that has to do with what you're doing. Organizational Women of America, whatever. You jump into an organization so that you can say, and is a member of this organization, because again, people don't remember what you're talking about, but they remember something that stands out like, oh, she's on some organizational committee. Angela Myers does Uplift Families. So she does parenting. It's so smart for her to serve as a volunteer on that committee. Never mind, she's making networking connections, but she can put that on her bio. So start with that credibility, okay? And you can do more of this work later, but just start brainstorming that. And then I'm going to give you some other questions that I'm going to ask you, and then just start writing down. The next thing is, what signature experience have you had? So for example, on my bio, I put, I am a national speaker, best-selling author, media contributor, podcast host, and mother of 7. I put that one at the end so that it makes everything else essentially look more cool because I did it as a mom of 7. And then people kind of go, what? A little bit. And then as I'm speaking and I can't remember what I'm saying, they're like, it all makes sense. So what signature experience? I say 7 kids is signature for me, and it makes sense to share that. Studio 5 is signature. Host of LDS PMA podcast, that's signature. So what are some of those signature things? Now, don't be depressed if you're like, I got nothing signature. All this is doing is helping you go, oh, you know what? I could reach out to such and such and I could do it so I can get that on my bio. They don't care how many times you've done it. They just want to get a snapshot of, do you know what you're talking about? That's what you're trying to share with them is, you can trust me, like Lemira said, I know what I'm talking about. So this might boot you in the bum to get on one of our podcasts and be on a Facebook Live and a spotlight. As soon as you've got your opt-in and you've got your foundations and tier 1 done, then you can be on one of our Facebook spotlights. And that way you can say, and guested on Purpose-Filled Life podcast, blah, blah, blah. Now that may not seem super significant, but if you're putting it in your bio, that says I can actually go on media and people listen to me. That's significant. So I think sometimes we look at these big pie in the sky things. I've got to be on this big stage or whatever. No, you just need to show that you are viable. That's all you need to show. Okay, next one. What has gotten results? I has hosted the 5-day challenge that helped hundreds, blah, 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 blah. Again, one of those DTLC women, I was talking to her and she's like, well, you know, and I help moms and teens and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, how many years have you been doing this? She said, well, yeah, thousands. I was like, put that in. How many people can say I've helped thousands, moms and teens? I'm like, oh, for the love, emphasize that. That's credibility. That's signature experience. So think about how many people have you helped? What is signature? I help people do 5-minute habits and get results. Angela Myers, I can help you teach your children how to speak respectfully in 24 hours, in one day. With her signature, I'd be happy to challenge. You want to have these water cooler things that people can remember what you said. And then what makes it memorable? What's an outcome that you can share, or outcomes that you can share that make it memorable? So me putting on mother of 7, that's memorable. At the end, you want to put on a little bit of personality. Well, you want to do it throughout if you can, but at the end, a little personal thing about you. So at the end, I always say, what is it that I marinate
Decadent
time with my family. Yeah, and decadent treats. See, she can remember. I marinate in time spent with my family and eating decadent treats. And there's always a laugh about that. And I also I used to, when I wasn't emphasizing so much the speaking, writing, and media, but when I was emphasizing my books, and still, if I'm going to an audience that emphasizes that, then she is the author of Faithful, Fit, and Fabulous and The Life is Too Short for One Hair Color series. And I always get a laugh out of that because people are like, oh, life's too short for one hair color, or life is too short for linoleum. I'll put something on it like that. And I get a little laugh on that. Anytime you can add humor, add it. That's a really important piece. So I'm going to share screens in just a second, and I'll show you how that's in one of my bios. Again, there's different styles of bios. So if you're speaking in front of a very highfalutin, high profile business conference, what style do you think you're going to do your bio? Are you going to do it funny? Are you going to do it more personality? Are you going to do it more professional? Professional, right? You can throw in a little funny in there, but professional. They don't want you going off on some little, and I bake and I love being with my puppies. And, you know, you got to speak that bio to your audience because you got to establish that credibility, relatability, and trust with the audience. Then another question is, what makes you irresistible? What makes you stand out? What makes people go, wow, I can't wait to hear from her. I cut off my arm that was stuck under a boulder, right? Okay, they want to hear that story. Or you were able to drive, just like that conference talk, you drove supplies to orphans in, you know, Herzegovina or whatever, by yourself in a big army truck, whatever. You think about that. So what would be irresistible? What's your fingerprint on this? What makes it unique, or makes you have something that stands out that people would be like, oh, I remember her, and that would connect with your audience? That relatability is all about connection. Sometimes people put in their bio that little personal piece. She can't live a day without Dr. Pepper, right? How many women do you think you're going to relate to, or their Diet Coke in the audience? I don't know. I don't drink pop like that, but think about it. Like probably 2/3 of that audience is like having tremors because they haven't had their Diet Coke yet. So they'd be like, she's my gal, right? So think about that.
Connie, can I say something?
Yes.
With that, coming back, because as you're talking about that, there are the other bio that really always stands out to me is Wendy Christensen's, because hers always talks about renewing hope, and it has her one big message in there and her signature solution. And every time I hear it, I'm like, oh, it has those 3 significant things. It's like renew, restore. And I'm always like, wow, I know what she does. And it sounds credible, you know, even if she's like, this is what I do. So.
Oh, exactly. And that's what we're getting to. You got all of this juicy stuff, and then your one big message. That one big message should be signature. It should be the kind of thing that when people hear it, they're like, oh, I want that. When I say to people, yes, and she trains women to find their purpose and fulfill it as an influential speaker, writer, and media presence for him, then people know exactly what you do, and your calling card is spot on. It's precise. You know what you're doing for them, and they know what to expect from you. So Your one big message, if you want to lead that out in the first line, sweet. If you want to do it a couple of sentences down after the credibility, sweet. Whatever you think is going to be best for your audience, but include the one big message, and it should have outcomes. We are not selling the steps of your program or whatever you're doing. You're selling the outcomes. You have helped people to X, Y, and Z. Like the gal in DTLC, she has helped thousands of moms and teens deal with, you know who it is, deal with anxiety, depression, and become emotionally resilient, grounded in scripture. There you go. They're like, I'm in, start talking. So those are things that you can go back to and make sure that you've got. So your one big message, and then have that credibility piece, the relatability, and the trust. And if you can add in humor, that's fabulous. Try it out on a few people first. Now let's get to kind of the nitty gritty really fast. So think about how to say it, and you'll probably say it in a really professional way first. And then you can think of saying it in a more personality way, a more descriptive way. So think about this. If I was going to describe a movie and I said, none teaches kids to sing, what would you say it is?
The
Sister
Heroes
Act.
are alive.
The Sound of Music.
Sound of Music.
So do not say nuns teach kids to
Sorry,
sing,
didn't
right?
get it out fast enough.
You're right. And poor Michelle was like, I'm not on mute, but I'm saying it. I got it. I got the washer. I got it. So think an orphan boy learns he has purpose and involves friends in a new skill set to fulfill it.
Wait, I missed it.
An orphan boy learns he has a purpose and involves friends in a new skill set to fulfill it. I don't know, but if I say a mysterious elf tells Harry to expect trouble during his second year at Hogwarts, but nothing can prepare him for trees that fight back, flying cars, spiders that talk, and deadly warnings written in blood on the walls of the school.
Harry Potter.
Are you in? You see what I'm saying? Did you even remember what I said in the first one? Something about purpose and something about a skill set? No idea. Make it enjoyable. Okay, so I kind of tidied up this gal that I did a podcast with. Let me just get my example, and then I can share a screen. So I just tidied it up really fast this morning because I had to tidy it up when I actually did her podcast. She sent me this super repetitive podcast, a bio. And I was like, tell me what is not helpful about this. And what Susie can endure this. She's great. She knows how to clean it up. So she's a healthy cooking coach who's passionate about teaching others how to cook, ! She spends a lot of time in her kitchen creating recipes. Anybody excited about spending a lot of time in your kitchen? No.
No.
She is featured on the TV show Studio 5 monthly. What the heck is that? Where she shares healthy recipes in a private coaching program to cook virtually from her kitchen. She helps people transition from eating processed food. I don't want to transition from that. So can you see what's going on here? It's not helpful. None of what she's saying is inviting me to come in and join her. Now, I'm not saying this is the I Ching. I'm just saying here's some ideas of how she could do it differently. Susie is a healthy cooking coach who teaches busy moms how to simply, enjoyably, and sustainably cook and eat healthy. For 9 years, she has enjoyed being a food contributor on Studio 5 with Brooke Walker. Emphasize that credibility. Susie now teaches other signature recipes because they're thinking, well, then why do I need to do a program if she's going to just teach it for free? Signature recipes through a successful live and online cooking program. Oh, you're going to help me do it in my own kitchen. Learn to cook healthy. Susie teaches women live and online how to simplify recipes and use whole foods and convenient ingredients. Oh, no weird, wacky gourmet stuff to improve health, weight loss, and enjoy eating. Outcomes. Working with clients for the past 10 years, she has seen the success of her long-term lifestyle changes while enjoying the process. For a taste of Susie's tips and recipes, or to find out more about her cooking program, follow her. Now, honestly, how many people are more interested in that than the first one? Do you know what she does? Do you know what outcomes you can expect? Do you say, wow, she's going to teach me how to cook and I could just do it right there. I want to know more. Can you do it at dinner time? Like, what kind of stuff am I going to cook? What are the recipes? So that's a bio. No boring. You want to have the credibility and relatability and the fun, poppy words that step out and say simple, enjoyable, sustainable, all those kind of fun ways to say it. So start with the bare bones, and then you can go in and play with it and make it super fun and happy. I'm going to share with you a couple of mine. Let me go into Connie's bios.
Connie,
I'm so sorry. Yes.
On that one, the one thing that I guess in my thought, even on that second one, I wanted to know more about how she, like, I have this sense that she loves cooking and wants to transfer that to the people she's teaching. But I didn't invoke an emotion. I don't know if that's if that's too personal. You know what I mean? Like if I say she teaches, she transfers her love of cooking to the people she helps or whatever. Is that too personal or?
No. That's your personality coming in. And again, watch your audience. Now, if you're talking to a bunch of highbrow people in your doctorate program, then no, yeah. Anytime you use the word love, they're not going to like it. But you look at Dainty Pear and Sarah's like, she loves to gather people and say, come as you are, break bread at our table, right? That's her signature tagline. So that's a great thing to have in the bio. She teaches people how to gather, elevate their eating experience, blah, 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 blah.
Gotcha.
So you want to give the feel. It can be like almost like a narrative. So you want to have a professional one, and then you have what I call a personality one. So let me share the screen and show kind of what I'm talking about. So you guys are awesome. I'm jamming because I have a 1 o'clock meeting. So I am jamming. I just told them I'm going to be 1:05. This is why, you guys, I'm always 5 minutes late to everything. So thanks for your patience. Okay, so here's my short bio that I generally show to people. So you can see in that first sentence, why do you want all the good credibility stuff in the first sentence? Because in programs, they'll often cut it off. So you want to have all the most important things in that first sentence in case there's no room at the end. Connie Sokol is a national speaker, best-selling author, media personality, and mother of 7. She's a regular contributor on the top-rated lifestyle show, Studio 5 with Rick Walker. I like putting that in because then they know, wow, it's award, it's like high caliber, it's blah, blah, blah. She also hosts 2 podcasts, and I share about those so that they can see that I have this actual media experience. She's a best-selling author who's written 18 books, and I do a couple of titles that are personal to them. Now, if I was speaking to a fiction audience, I would do my fiction one, so you cater it to them. She's the founder of Purpose-Filled Life and teaching women to live purposeful, organized, joyful lives. She hosts Disciple Thought Leadership Treats, blah, 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 how to be influential writers, speakers, and media personalities. We need to clean this one up, Lemire. I'm so sorry. I just realized we don't have the most current. So usually I just say she trains certain women to find their purpose and fulfill it as blah, 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 blah. Sorry. Then Miss Sokol is an active member and okay, I had to do that. What about Bob moment? Just me and my book. Okay, National Speakers Association Board and the BYU Management Society Board. And then marinates and time spent with her family and eating decadent treats. And then where to go. So the last thing that we talked about was where are you going to lead them? If you can think backwards, if you want to lead them to an opt-in or you want to lead them to a discovery call or whatever it is you want to lead them to, reverse engineer your bio. The women who have done these retreats, I teach them how to fulfill as a speaker, writer, media presence for him. She has taught 10 retreats and helped women to be able to get on stage, publish their books, and blah, 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 blah. So that by the time you get to for more information, people want that information because now you've shared what's the outcomes that you've done for this particular thing that you're doing. If Susie would have said, she has 90% of her clients actually lose 10 pounds in the first month of this cooking. How many people do you think want to know about her cooking, right? But if she would put something like that and know what it says for more information on how to start her cooking classes, then people are going to go, oh, I definitely want to figure that out because she's given the outcomes. So now people, where do you want to lead them? For her program, more information on her program, reach out to blah, 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 blah. Does that make sense? So think where you want to lead them. Is it to your website? Is it to your opt-in? Where are you leading them? And then reverse engineer that bio so you tease that so that people are going to want that by the end. Okay, so here's a little more of the personality bio. This is on my website. Hi, I'm Connie Sokol, and I'm a speaker, best-selling author, media personality, and program founder, not all at once and not without chocolate. At the core, most days, I'm keeping it real mother of 7, the good, the bad, the ugly. So do you see, that's on my website. That's where there should be a little more personality. When someone's getting to know me and starting to read my bio, if I'm super stuffy and just all about professional, there's no connection. Just like Kim was saying, there's no connection. But if I use these fun words and I have a little sense of humor, I give this concept like, this is going to be fun, you guys. We're going to hang. I'm just like you. I've learned some things. I'm going to share them with you. So something to consider. And then there's the really boring long bio. We do not want to do that. I love God, spending time with my kids, not after 9. Oh, and you know what, Lemire, if you can put in there, I'm going to put it right here, not after 9 p.m. Because I didn't realize that some people thought not after 9 kids. I'm like, I'm done. Okay, people, 7's plenty. Learning and creating fabulous life hacks and indulging in decadent treats. So again, I'm giving them that snapshot of me. And again, I'm sorry, you've been in like Connie Sobel purgatory here where you have to keep hearing about how magical I am. Anyway, those are just some ideas and thoughts on a bio. And I know I've raced through it, but we actually have a module that you can go and watch and slow it down, even to be able to watch on bios. And we have page 67 in your guidebook that can also give other tips and tools. And we also show you one from Clint Pulver about how to do a good bio. And he has a great mix that's energetic, it's professional, but it's got personality. So I invite you to read his and just get the idea of how he went about that and made it so that it's sort of a mix. You'll find that for speaking, I find that a lot, that the speaking bios are more a mix of the professional credibility, but it's got that personality and that energy, almost like when they're announcing them from stage. And Marcus has blah, blah, blah. He's entertained kids all over the world and he has blah, 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 blah. You
I
kind of
missed
have
his
that
name.
sense. The what?
I missed his name.
Clint Pulver. And it's in your guidebook on page
Okay.
67 or 66, because there's an example of it right there. So think
Hey,
about it.
Connie.
If someone's introducing you from stage, how would it sound? Would it be flat? Would it have a little energy? Would it have some pop to it? Would it make you feel credible? Would it make them feel like, wow, if you can get the jaw drop factor, not all of us can, we're all still working on that, but if you can get the jaw drop factor, that's great. When they go, wow, like they want to listen to you. That's perfect. Somebody had a question.
I did. I wondered if there's some kind of map, like obviously LinkedIn, you would use a more professional one. On my website, a mix, like the speaking one, personality and kind of professional. Okay. And then obviously Instagram, Facebook. I realized I have a lot of things all over the place. Yelp for business, my Google business. I'm like, oh my gosh, these all say something different. So, so I have to go clean it up, but
That's so great. And if you just start with a core bio, and then it's just like a dress up doll, and then you add this and take away that and say, I'm going to put this on. And oh, she's going to go out tonight. Anybody do paper dolls? So you're going to put a different outfit on her. So it's still same core bio, still credibility, but you're going to add and dress it up just a little bit differently. But again, have those elements, that credibility, relatability, trust, and then add in humor if you can, and that personality that just kind of packages it like this is me. No big deal. I know, right? You can do it in 15 minutes, easy, but play with it. I plead with you to have some play with this. You're going to change it and change it again. I think back to bios that I had like 5-10 years ago, and I'm like, ugh. But it's great. It's just a work in progress. And just so that it's something that when you read it, people have some kind of connection or reaction. Either they're like, oh, I like her. Have people read it in the DTL, and even maybe a few people first. And so you can get brave or with each other here and then put it out on the WhatsApp. But people should feel something. They should feel joy. They should say, I can't wait to hear what she has to say, or I know exactly what you're saying, or she's funny, or she's great. She's authentic. Think about your brand and how you want to keep that aligned. People know that I'm a little bit humorous. I'm going to be down to earth. I'm going to be authentic. I'm going to share some things and some skill sets and professional so that they can trust what I'm saying, but I'm not going to be stuffy. I'm not going to wear a shirt and a pinstripe suit. I'm going to be more like, let's do this. Let's get in there and make it happen. So think about your brand, your tone, your feel of what you're offering, and then you can make that bio structured like that too. So you keep the core pieces, but then you have that personality that overlays or weaves through. Lamira, anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think that's great. And we can ask those things too, as Kim asked different places, and you'll learn voices. I'll tell you the number one way I figured this out was going to look at different people's on their different places. So like on LinkedIn, when we're putting Connie's up, it's like, okay, well, how does that sound? How does somebody have their sound? Does that make sense? And so, and then like she said, be okay with making changes. Like it's really okay, because you'll be like, oh, I like the way they did that. I'm going to add that into mine, and just know that that's okay. And so just start
And play with it and get the core. Just get the core, because at the end of the day, you don't want it too campy, meaning too trying to be funny or whatever. You want people to know the basics. Like you want them to know what you've done. And if you got anything you can throw in there. For years, I put in Deseret News and LDS Living magazine that I wrote for and whatever. And as I went along and added more to my tool belt, I could let go of some of those things that didn't necessarily match with what I was doing at the time. But get that credibility, relatability, trust, humor, personality, and you'll be set. You're the best. Ladies, I'm sorry I have to run, but this is so fun to see you. I love you.
Thank you. Did you have any, was that helpful? Was that helpful for you? Okay,
So
good.
I wish I'd had this a year ago. when they were asking me for my bio for my book, and I was actually going to say I've written multiple different bios. I've got, for just different things that are, that are taking place. So it's a change, and it's always a work in progress. And like, I'm doing a book fair in Bear Lake in April, and she wanted a 3-sentence bio, and I'm like, 3 sentences. Okay, how am I going to cram everything into 3 sentences? And so I tried to put in my one big message, and it's not finessed yet, so it doesn't look good, and it's not all these other things she was talking about, but it was there. So, done sometimes is important.
I love that. I love that you shared that. And it's fun. And I love, Kim, that you asked that question about, okay, well, all these different places, and you'll find that, and go like Connie, even on her website, in different places on her website, we might emphasize something differently. I like that. 3 run-on sentences with all the info. And I love that Connie is really great at that. If you notice, being super succinct, like where she had her little personality bio. And you can see it right on, if you go to the retreat page on our website, it's on the side, and it has that little personality bio. It's just enough. And it's like, oh, read more. And then they can go read more about her and her whole story. But it's enough to go, oh, this is who it is and who I want to go read about. So, but I love that. And just like finesse it, play with it a little bit and see. I know that when Tanya was working on her landing page, she had one, I said, okay, let's flesh out a little bit more. And she did. And, it's going, okay, well, how do I put this in here? Right. And it's just, sometimes it's just putting it out there just to practice playing with the words and going, how is it going to go? So anyway, and I wanted you to have that as you start. I know some of you are already starting on websites or have a website, and others of you are just on your landing pages. So or even just your social media. And that's why we start with that small social media, and then you work up your landing page. And then as you start getting into speaking, you'll have this ready for your speaking bio. So any other questions on those?
So I have a question that might be unrelated, but you mentioned Tanya's landing page. I think I'm behind. What is a landing page? I have a website, but I don't know what a landing page is.
So a landing page is so like Tanya's got her opt-in for her 5-minute habits. And it's basically where a website where I come in, I land to go get that thing. It's basically a web page specifically to something. So like on our retreat page, that's our landing page where you're going to learn all about our retreat and how to sign up for one. So basically it's a web page. We call it a landing page, so it's specific to one thing, if that makes sense. So where you have a website, Kim has a website. A lot of people, when they come in, don't have any of that. And so we start with just one little thing that leads them to your opt-in. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I've read a lot about on creating a newsletter that you need a landing page, like with MailerLite or ConvertKit. Those can be on your website, right?
Yes.
And it's just the page that goes to your website when they sign up for your newsletter. That's what they're talking about?
Yes. Okay. Yep. And you and I need to meet anyway. So you and I have got to meet.
We do.
No worries. No worries. But yeah, that's where we're at with that now. And it's a great question to ask, because I feel like that's something even for me, when I first jumped into this, I had to start getting all that vernacular and where's it leading me and what does that mean? And yeah, so that's basically what it is. So, okay. I love this. So that's one thing to do. And if you're not ready for that piece yet of your bios, don't worry about this. I'm going to take everything she talked about, and we'll take this little piece and edit that out, and it will go in our tier 1 under landing pages and how to do a bio. And I'll also add in her other training that I think she taught in the speaking track. And I'm going to take that and put it in there as well, so that you have more than one on how to do that. Okay. So that way, and once I get that in there in the next day or so, I'm hoping after we get off, I'll go do that and I'll find it and put it in there for you and send you the link. So, okay. All right. So now we're going back to the beginning. So we've got about just under like 15, a little over 15 minutes left. I would love to, let's do a return and report. What did you work on? What was a win and a learning? Where are you at? And then if anybody has a question that they would like us to address, that would be great. So let's go around and share. And thank you for those who are filling out your goal each week. I do go in, I went and pulled it up right before I got on to see who had done a rate and review, who set their weekly goal. I know it's hard to remember all the things, but I'm going to be really good about writing them down too. So I can just, so who's got a win or learning or, yes, Michelle.
So my return and report, I didn't really do my goal. I kind of got sideswiped by when Ingrid was talking about getting rid of 1,000 things. So I really dove into that. And I have I'm at about 250 by now. And my emails, we were talking about email purging and I got sidetracked by that. But I feel like some of those things I had to do because there was just so much coming at me that I just couldn't even think. And I just needed some time to purge out my email and things like that. So that's what I did this last week. Thank you for the nudge on the email. Was that you, Ingrid, too, about the email, who purging emails? Or I don't know, not email, but on WhatsApp, we had this long conversation about people saying how many emails they have unopened. It's like, oh my gosh. And so I just had to go delete a whole bunch. So that's what I did this last week. And it feels really good to be a little more organized and a little more focused. Well, having all that clutter away so I can, anyway, so I can keep.
That's huge because honestly, you have to clear space in order to move forward. And sometimes it is that, right? The digital space or whatever. And I honestly think you should use all those emails and part of your 1,000 things and you've hit it. So there you go.
There you go. I just have to, what I really have to do is I have a missionary son coming home in July, and we are in the middle of a remodel that took his bedroom and made it into part of a great room. And so everything from the house and that was also in his room, they're all just shoved into the new place where he's going. And we don't have place to store everything. So we have to just get rid of a lot of stuff so that he can have a bedroom when he comes home. So that's kind of, it's been gnawing at me, but I love the idea of 1,000 things because it's like, oh, I can put a number to this and then really feel accomplishment. And so thank you, Ingrid. That was a great idea.
You're welcome. I think it was also Diane in the WhatsApp who was talking a lot about emails. She had a lot of good things to say about clearing those out, but it does give you mental space, which is such a funny paradox that we get more abundance in our life when we eliminate a number of things. I feel like it made space. I did most of my 1,000 things in January before the retreat, and it made space in my soul for all the good things that are coming in now with this DTLC quest, So I didn't also do too much on my goal, but I did do email purging, which has been super helpful for my mental bandwidth. And I had my meeting with Britt Benyon and had a good time soaking up her wisdom and tips and ideas for how to build my website and what my brand means and better defining my audience avatar and their ideal life and talking about a lot of strategies there. So that was so great. I'm super excited about that conversation and what comes next.
Yay.
So can I ask a question about that meeting with Britt? How far along do we need to be before it's good to meet with her?
We usually have you, you've met with Connie, right? And give your foundations. And then I usually like to meet with you after you've met with Connie, just see where you are and just there. And it's usually right there. It's like right after that foundation, just right here in the beginning that you do.
Oh, so it's not like way down the road.
No, it's here very soon.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Who else has a win?
I know. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Shauna.
Go ahead,
Or-
girlfriend. Go ahead, Tanya. She's on mute.
Yeah, she said you go ahead. Mhm.
I met with Britt also on the marketing, and she was amazing. So now I did it right before I left. So I've been gone for those 2 weeks. So now, sorry. I mean, it was amazing. And I'm going to go through what she sent me, but I'm going to use her a lot.
Yeah. She is, and I don't know, did you get a chance to meet her at Speaker in a Day when you were there? She was
Oh,
was
you
there
know,
with
I
her.
probably didn't know which one was she.
I
Dang
know.
it.
It was the first time I had met her in person, but she is fabulous. We use her
Because
all the
somebody
time.
came up and said, I'm glad to meet you in person. What did she look like?
Oh, she a little bit taller, long brown hair. Well, you saw her. Did you see her on Zoom? I don't know.
I didn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I met her. So, but yeah, we use her all the time, even for our stuff. So I'm so glad that was positive for you. Yeah. I don't know if it was her, but maybe it was somebody you met.
Oh, no,
And
that wasn't her.
maybe
You know
it was
what? I
one of
did
our
talk to her on
DTC.
Zoom when I did my meeting. Yeah. So it was someone else at that thing that was a bigger.
Oh, that was
Really?
Diane. Was it Diane with glasses, short hair? That was
Yeah.
Diane.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, that was my amazing thing.
Love that. Thank you, Shauna. Hey. Who's next? Got Tanya, Kim, Melissa.
I can go. I did a lot of work on my opt-in last week and got that mostly completed. And then I met with Connie this morning and now I need to redo a lot of things. So, but the good thing is that like, I think that's going to just be, it's just part of the deal. And so I'm actually really grateful for all of Lemira, like go back and change this and go back and change this because, or think about this because it's helping me like really refine things. And in the past, that's something I just felt like I didn't have time for that, you know? And so I was, you know, what I was doing was really mediocre. And I really want to build something great. And I'm willing to like just keep going back as many times and sifting through as I need to so that I can get clear and be able to just reach the right women. And that's another thing Connie helped me just kind of get regrounded in is like, what do they actually need? And what will they be willing to pay for? What is going to meet their needs? You know, how will this work the best for them? So
I love that. That's big because it's hard because we have been doing a lot of back and forth. And so then when you get that other like, wait a minute, let's go even more, it can be really hard. And I love that you are open to learning and to growth. And that's huge because like you said, everything that we've been doing, it's going to open you up to more of that. Okay, yes, I'm still distilling down. I'm still getting there. I'm doing a lot of thinking. And that's why we send you back to Connie too, because you get that mix of yes, here's here. And then her expertise is amazing in that. So I love that. So thanks for being open to that. Even though you're like, wait, I was done.
no. But the good thing about it is, I mean, like I'm doing a live in my group tomorrow about journaling. And so I had already created, you know, for my opt-in, I had already created a worksheet. And so I just updated that to like have these different journaling things. So now I can even create another landing page for that particular thing, you know, and since I did it, the more times I do it, it gets easier and it's not hard to make updates, you know.
Yeah, you get that scaffolding, right? You get the basics. And that's why the same as we go in your foundations and your service offering, it's still that principle that we're going to give you that scaffolding. And then you get to go in and adapt and adjust and as you shift a little bit. So I love that. I mean, I think you've all felt that too. I know Tanya said that when she met with Britt too. It was like, oh, and we shifted even more. And I know we have felt that in our own when we've done things, and then we've met with Brett and we met with Tasha, who you guys get to meet next month. And then it's like, oh, like, you know, it's like these growing pains and a little bit, but it's wonderful and it makes big difference. So I love that. Thank you, Tanya. Okay, Kim or Melissa.
I'll
Yeah,
go.
Melissa.
So one of the things that's been hard for me, and it was like, it was triggering at the retreat, is that I just had it phrased in my head. I don't like feedback so much because I feel like it shows how imperfect I am. Like, I just want it to be good. I did it and it's good. And, I'm kind of been okay with the mediocre thing. And so to just get that refined and refined and refined and refined by the second day of the retreat, I was like, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. I thought I was good enough and I'm not. That's what I thought. I'm not. And so seeing Tanya reach out so many times with like, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? I was like, oh, she totally is doing okay. And it's not like it's to make it better and to refine. And so I spoke in the Adult Session of State Conference this last week. And the topic was basically my one big message, because God was like, I'm going to let you practice this. And so I wrote my talk, and then I reached out and I put it on there, and Diane went back and she read it, and the first edit, she had a lot of things to put on there. She's like, think about this, think about that. Very constructive. And I did, and I worked it a little bit, and then I sent it back to her one more time, and she, a few more little things. And I spoke, and let me tell you, it was one of the most powerful talks. And it was because I refined it, and I also saw I have a message, a very powerful message to share. You guys, I can't even tell you. I felt like I was like Connie after something. After state conference, I had people lined up, not to tell me I did a good job, but to talk to me and tell me their story or their thing or what they're struggling with. And then I went on Sunday, and I had people coming up to me on Sunday telling me about my talk. And I had this one woman come up to me, and I feel very like I'm really insecure with my writing because of that. Like, I don't want people to critique it and stuff. And she came up to me, she's like, I have to tell you, your talk was amazing. And she said, and I'm a writer, and you did like, I was like, in my head, I'm like, well, that's because we learned how to do the hook and this and that and the 3 things. And then I'm going to challenge you, and I'm going to do, but she was just like, I'm a writer. And that was really good. And then I went up somewhere else. Like, so people were finding me, and I thought, this is a powerful message, and people want to hear it and need to hear it. And it was just like, I think it was one of those things that I really needed to see. And maybe that's why God put that in me, because all of a sudden I feel like the fire to be like, okay, all right. I've been kind of apprehensive about, like, I don't know, just fully delving in, because I when I don't know how to do something, I get scared. And so I just don't do it. And that's where, like, God has told me, you can't dismiss it this time. You can't just say whatever. And so it's been really hard for me. But all of a sudden I'm like, oh, okay, what else can I do? What else can I do? And so I've had all that. So now, like, it wasn't until Sunday evening that I was finally able to spend some time on my Foundations 5 and make some progress in there. But now I'm like, okay, I see what I need to do, kind of, if that makes sense. Like, I see that I need to push forward, and I see how important this is. So that was that was huge for me. It was huge.
Melissa, thank you for sharing. You just said what we do, which is you get it in the doing, right? By having that opportunity to speak and to go, okay, now I'm doing it, and I'm doing it. And huge win, and getting feedback and taking that and doing it. And then I love how you're giving the credit to your message and to your Father in heaven, that it's for him, and knowing that it needs to come. Great job. And speaking in the adult session of state conference, like, that's huge. So proud of you. Good job. And I love all the
I also have to say, contrary to like every like knee-jerk reaction that you want to do, just like every habit, I got up, and I stood up, and I said, I need to talk to you. 6 words that I didn't know were going to change my life, or whatever it was. I did not get up and say, oh, it's so good to be here, or the music was beautiful, or anything. I just got up and started. And that was like, it's giving me goosebumps to think about, because that's so hard to do, like, especially in speaking in church. You want to give some, like, I listened to everybody else gave some sort of like oh, this or oh, that, and then started in on their talk. And I just went for it.
Will you share that on Wednesday? I feel like the other women and the other tracks need to hear that. And so if you could share that, that would be an awesome win to share. So isn't it amazing when you feel like you know what to say now? You don't need those fillers anymore because the Spirit speaks through you, right? You just don't need it. And He gets to speak, and you're confident in your message for Him.
I felt like I had them on the edge of their seat.
Mhm.
I had people crying because and people told me I was raw, I was vulnerable, I was real, but I gave them that out. But then one person came up to me and said, yeah, you did all that, but you just smiled and you sat down and you smiled. And I knew, it's like you knew that the outcome was the happiness and the joy, even though like I teared up a couple times. I was trying not to get emotional at all, but I did tear up a couple times because I was telling my story, and it's painful. And but yeah, he just said, but you smiled, and it was just like, oh, I know this is going to work because you're happy now.
I'm just like, yay. That's so great. Thank you. Oh, beautiful. Oh, Kim, how about for you?
I can be quick. I did manage to get in 2 doctor's appointments. So as a departure from my stress last week, and I have all kinds of orders for the other ones. So I'm well on that road. So that's a good thing. And then I have, like we talked about, just the long list of, even just going in and doing the bio, because that was one of the things Britt and I discussed, and how to shift all that stuff around. So I've been able to really hone in on, okay, what's the first thing I need to do and prioritize. So which was my goal for the week, was to just figure out where to start. And then, so I feel really good. So I feel really grounded and ready to start working on those actions items and chunk them off one at a time. But that was kind of my get back from vacation and figure out where to start. So I did manage to get that done. And I spent Saturday, I went to the Grace workshop with Emily Bell Freeman. And so it was really nice to just spend a day talking about grace and listen to her presentation. So that was a really nice way to get kind of grounded. And I love always thinking about Easter because it's that time of year. So that's always a big part of my mind during this season. So
I love that. Thank you. I love this, ladies. I love hearing these wins and this learning, and each of you. And Kim, I love that you were able to go there, because sometimes we just have to leave and go get learning and get that rejuvenation. And that is amazing. And I know we don't have time to go through everybody's goals and this week, but if you could please put what your next step is, either text it to me, like in WhatsApp, or Marco Polo me, or even actually, I would love for you to put it in the WhatsApp. So we just all keep each other accountable. Say, okay, my goal for this week is here. I'm going to put the set your weekly goal link right in there right after this call, and just go ahead and fill that out so I can go back and be reminded. And I've written down this, and this is beautiful. And if you need a coaching call with me, a 20-minute, like, okay, let's get set, let's see where we're at, go ahead and do that. Or you can Marco Polo me and say, okay, this is where I am, this is what I'm doing. And if you don't have time for a 20-minute because my schedule's full, or it's not full right now, but if it doesn't work, right, those times don't work, please do that. Tanya will tell you, we'll go back and forth. You just might get me in like the end of the day or the beginning of the day. We're in our jammies, and that's okay too. So, all right. Is there anything I can help? Anybody have any burning questions that you need answered right now before we hop off?
I have one really quick, easy question.
Yeah.
How does this look in the back? Is it too busy, or because I'm going to be on Connie's live next week, and so I'm trying to have a decent background.
I was going to say add greenery, but I would
Yeah, on that shelf behind you on the top. Oh, bigger. Bigger.
Or even behind you on the other side where there's
like
nothing.
right here?
Okay. Just
Big
do like a little
standing.
plant, a standing plant.
Okay.
Otherwise looks great.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's definitely not my strong suit. That's a Shauna thing. But I did notice the difference, Tanya, and I thought, oh, she's in a nice place. It has a good, nice background and stuff from when we usually see you. So it was a noticeable change that looked good.
Do I look like I'm in the ocean?
There you go.
I love that picture.
That's so
Get
good.
on the art.
That's right. Love it. So that's great. Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. And then maybe I would just say, maybe if you have a circle light or some kind of lighting.
See, my lighting is not, I don't know what to do because I have one of these, like, I have this and it's right here, but I'm probably just need to get a bigger one, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because
Yeah, I've as much natural light as you can, but
I'm right by a window and we have, but for some reason it just doesn't, the lighting isn't very good. I agree with that.
yeah, Ingrid, go ahead.
I put, my desk is like right next to the window. Like it's like if I put my hand up, I could touch the window.
I'm right next to
So
it.
if you can turn your desk so the window shines in on you. I know my background leaves a lot to be desired because it's this whole room and there's nothing close to me, which I think is probably better if something was.
It actually looks good. Your
Thank you.
background.
Like I've got plants back there, but you can't, they don't look very green because they're in the dark, but at least I got the window going for me. So just a tip.
How did Melissa do that? Blurry
Oh.
thing.
So what you do is on your video on Zoom, where it has your little video camera, you can push that little arrow and it will say blur my background and you can click it and there you've got a blurred background.
That's amazing.
You can also choose a virtual background. The one thing to just be mindful of, yeah, bye Tanya, thank you. The one thing to be mindful is if you move in or out of that, sometimes it kind of looks funny, but yeah, you can play with that there and see.
Thank you.
Yep, that. Okay. All right, ladies, thanks for hopping on and love you and talk to you very soon.
Bye.